Welcome to another episode of our Parker Resources, Parker Points. This episode, we're going to talk a lot about getting a head coaching job. We're going to take a few episodes of this. This will be the first installment of it, of getting a head coaching job. And probably one of the questions I get asked the most is, how do I get a head coaching job? What do I need to do? How can I separate myself? What do I need to do to prepare? All those different things. And we're going to take a few different episodes of these and talk about it. But the first one is really going to focus on things you need to know before you even apply. So in this particular episode, we're not going to talk about resumes and references and interviewing and the things like that you may have thought this was going to be when you clicked on it. But what we are going to talk about is how people get jobs. What are things you can do right now? What are things you control? If you're an experienced coach that have been a head coach before, wants to be a head coach again, or if you're a brand new head coach, what are some things you can control? What are things you need to understand going into the job, especially if you have never done it? Are you ready? This is a question we get asked often. Am I ready to be a head coach, or how do I know I'm ready? And then, is this the right job for you? And we'll go through each of these, talk a little bit about some key points. And then in the second part of this, we'll get into, the resumes and references and interviewing and the things that also seem to be really popular subjects. So how do people get head coaching jobs? And I think this is something, if you followed me and you've watched some of the things we've done before, you've probably heard this, but I think it's very important to begin with the end in mind. I think it's very important to think about here's where I want to be and how do I get there? Well, if you want to be a head coach, which is what this is about, and I've been the head coach, been the head football coach, I've been the athletic director and hired, and I've been now the HR director where we hire multiple positions. You got to think about, how do people get this job? So this is a job you'd like to get. How do people get this job? First, they either probably 90% of the head coaches get the job in one of these two ways. They either stay where they are and get promoted, or they take over a struggling program. The people who generally get the great programs are people who are already head coaches or have some kind of established background. So if you're trying to break into this, whether you had been a head coach previously and struggled, or you've never been a head coach and you want to get your first shot, you're going to probably have to do one of these two things. Nothing's more irritating than people contacting us wanting to know, what can I do to be a head coach? What can I do? What can I do? Well, what about this job? Well, that's not really a good job. Well, of course, make it a good job. Or they're not doing the best things they can do at their current job. It's very likely that if you want to be a head coach, you may get the job where you are right now. Or if you don't think that's possible, maybe you need to go to a new job as an assistant with the possibility of being promoted there, where they know you and they appreciate your work ethic. A lot of people are promoted. A lot of people take over struggling programs. And a very small percentage of people get these great jobs that are already established, already good, for their first shot or their second shot if their first shot was a struggle. They just don't. So get your mind right about what you're going to have to do. I'm going to have to do a great job where I am and get promoted, or I'm going to have to take over a place that has really struggled. I don't get to be picky, and I've got to make them better. Those are your two choices. So then it comes down to, a lot of people spend a lot of time whining and complaining about stuff they cannot control. They got passed up because of this. Somebody didn't like them for this, whatever it is for getting this head coaching job. It's important to think about, what are some things I can do right now to help me be a head coach? The first thing you can do is be great where you are. If you're not a good assistant coach, you're damn sure not going to be a good head coach. Be a good assistant. Be great where you are. When they call that head coach, he wants to help you, but he also is really disappointed that you may get this head job. Be great where you are. Learn from the current head coach. It's so important where you are as an assistant. So if you need to be in a different situation, I'm not advocating anybody leaving their job, but you better make sure you're with a good head coach that can really help prepare you. Learn from them. Ask questions. Don't wait until you get the job and start asking questions. And then prepare your plan. And we're all about a plan here, and we've got tons of resources to help you prepare a plan in all the different aspects. And some of these Parker Points episodes down the road will be specifically about how to prepare your plan. But prepare your plan so that you're ready. Don't wait to get the job and then start preparing. You can start doing that now. What you can't do now is decide if you don't have any say over if the AD's cousin or if this person got the job and they fooled somebody into this and all this junk people worry about. What you do have control over are these things. So be great where you are. Just be a damn good coach wherever you are. Learn from the head coach and work on your plan now. If you got some free time, start thinking about it. And I'm not just talking about X's and O's. We'll get into the planning stuff in other episodes, but I'm talking about think about things like the booster club. Think about how you're going to handle policies and procedures for players. Think about how you can work on player development. Think about how you can hire coaches. All the different things that you would do, just start making some notes. Because keep in mind, these plans change. So just start keeping some notes. And as you think of a better way, go edit those notes. But you can do all that now. You don't have to wait till you get the job. But sitting around and whining about what you don't have or how you got screwed is not going to help you. These things will help you. Listed out 5 things that I thought every prospective head coach needs to know. I think these are things that I commonly see that assistant coaches don't know until they become head coaches. And then after the fact, they say something to me like, hey, I wish I'd have known that. I wish somebody would have told me ahead of time, or I wish I'd understood that better. These are those things. The first thing, there's no time to learn on the job. The dumbest excuse ever is for coaching is I'm the new guy or my bad. You don't get the first 6 months, you just kind of shrug your shoulders like, I don't know, nobody told me, I didn't know. You know, you can do that, but you're not going to get to start 7 points ahead every game or how, you know, it doesn't work like that. You're going to be even with everybody else today. You get that job. There's not time to learn. You got to hit the ground running. That principal, that athletic director, whoever, they expect you to be good right when you get the job. Whether that's fair or not, that's a fact. That's something that head coaches know that they wished they'd have known earlier. You got to hit the ground running. Don't play that dumb guy card for a while. Go into the job ready to roll. If you're not ready to roll, that means you didn't prepare. So my pitch to you right now is prepare, so you're ready. Scheme and sports specific stuff is the fun part. Second kind of thing most head coaches want assistant coaches to know. Listen, I love coaching football. I love talking about offense and defense and what we're going to run and what techniques we're going to use and how we're going to practice it and you know if they do this, we're going to do this. But a lot of people think that's all it was about. Truthfully, that was the fun part of my job. When I got a chance to do that, it was great. And I had to make time for that because that's really important. But a lot of head coaches did not come into the head coaching job very prepared for the other stuff. They actually got a head job because they were well known as a good offensive coordinator, good defensive coordinator, well known as a football guy, or if it's basketball, they're known for their ability to coach basketball. But they're not really, nobody knows if they're great with parents. Nobody knows if they're great with dealing with the money and the budget and the booster club and dealing with players that do things they shouldn't and handling discipline. And, nobody knows if you're good at that stuff until you get out there. So just know going into the job that that's going to be a big part of it. And actually that part, how you handle parents and administration and all the different issues that come up will probably be how you're judged and not necessarily on your magical defense or offense or whatever it is. The third thing that people that are head coaches probably wish they'd have known before they got the job is you will constantly be put in no-win situations. It's just something to know going in. It's great to be the head coach. It's great to be the final decision maker. It's great to have that title. It's great. But one of the negatives is you will constantly be put in no-win situations. And for example, kid X gets in trouble away from school. Maybe it's legal trouble. Do you want to throw him off the team or do you give this kid another chance? Let me tell you how that's going to work. Some people are going to be mad at you no matter what you do. You were sitting at home listening to Parker Points. You were just trying to get better. And one of your players did something stupid. And they immediately put you, the head coach, in a no-win situation. They didn't put any of them assistant coaches in a no-win situation. They put the head coach in a no-win situation where he now has to either kick kid off the team, be done with him, hurt the kid's ability to probably stay positive, or maybe if he has a chance to play at the next level. But if nothing else, hurts their chance to be a productive student because they really enjoy the team and better off being on the team than off the team. But if you don't kick them off, then you're not setting a standard of discipline and you don't, so you just, it's just, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard these assistant coaches sit in the coach's office and say stuff like, well, I'll tell you if I was the head coach. No, you wouldn't. Don't say you know, because you don't know. You will constantly be put in no-win situations, and it's your job to figure out which of these no-win situations I can live with the best. That's probably one of the toughest jobs as a head coach. This even happens on the field. I mean, it's not just a discipline player issue. You get in a situation where, it's 4th and 2, you're at the 40-yard line, you can punt it or you can go for it. They both got positives, they both got negatives. We ain't got all data. Worry about your feelings. Pick one and let's go. Weigh the positive negatives in your head quickly and let's go. And so really on the field and off the field, you're going to constantly be put in some no-win situations that is going to be 100% your responsibility, even though you may not have created it. And, in a lot of cases, in off the field stuff, you didn't do anything wrong, but you got put in the spotlight immediately by somebody else doing something wrong. And so that's just something that's part of being a head coach. And we're talking about getting a job. I think if you're getting a job, you need to know these things going in to be prepared for this is what you're asking for. Man, being a head coach is awesome. Don't let any of this discourage you. I'm trying to help you. When you get the job, you'll be successful. Going in, oh yeah, this one of the times, like Coach Parker said. So the next thing, people are going to look at you different. This was a struggle for me. You're the same guy. I mean, you were the defensive coordinator at whatever school in Texas, and you got the head job, and you're just the same old guy that's been the defensive coordinator, was a DB coach for that or whatever. But all of a sudden, people treat you different. Look at you different. So if you're the type of guy that, you make a lot of jokes, you're kind of a smart ass, you kind of, do some stuff that, you talk to a kid a certain way, you're the offensive coordinator, maybe you can talk to them that way. You're the head coach, it like devastates them. You're the same guy. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to people treating you differently. So be prepared for that. Start conducting yourself like the head coach. To some degree, you don't have a choice but to start thinking a little differently in that regard. How is this going to sound coming from the head coach versus how it sounded coming from assistant? And then the last thing I think that's always a challenge for head coaches is, it's really difficult to be in a situation where some people don't like you no matter what you did. I think it's really simple to say, and I think all of us as head coaches want to say, we don't care that people are making fun of us, or we don't care that people are criticizing every decision we make, or that they hate us, or they're really down on us. We look past that. We just focus on the kids, whatever it is. That all sounds great. But the truth is, until you're in that position where you feel like you've done nothing wrong, you feel like you genuinely like this kid, he's just not getting to play, but his parents hate you. They don't hate those assistant coaches much. They hate you. You may not even coach him. You may coach on offense. Kid plays on defense, but his parents hate you. They're talking bad about you. They're screaming at you from the bleachers, whatever it is. That's uncomfortable. That's not something anybody wants, anybody likes. Anybody telling you different is lying. But it is something you better get used to, that people are going to not like you no matter what. No matter what. It's going to be a very different feeling. So I hope none of those 5 things discouraged you. I hope you just saw those as, okay, those, if you heard all that and said, yeah, of course, coach, I already know that, then you're getting there. If any of that was new to you, you're like, yeah. Or worse yet, if you heard any of that and say, well, I don't have to deal with that because I'm gonna, but then you're full of it. Do your thing, come back and watch this again in a couple of years and you'll tell me I'm right. Because even guys that go undefeated every year deal with these 5 things. This is not something that's exclusive to you not doing a good job or you're doing a good job. Doesn't matter. You're going to find these things to be true. So how do you know you're ready? Maybe you know those 5 things. And you say, okay, I think I'm ready. The truth is you never know if you're ready. So you got to have confidence that you are. But there's a few things you can ask yourself to help understand if you're ready. Do you understand these 3 statements? Do you know that you don't know? I think one of the biggest mistakes of a head coach is acting like you know everything. Don't act like you know everything. Understand that I'm going to have to change. So I got this plan. I got these Parker resources. I got this plan. And I don't have a plan for everything. But I'm going to try to be close. I'm going to have a plan for about everything I can. But then if I hear at the Glazer Clinic something better, I'm going to change that plan because I do not know everything. Hey, that's getting closer. The second thing to know is based off what I said in the last 5 points in the slide before was this is a hard job. It's a great job, man. I love it. I'm still doing it, helping coaches because I just love this profession. Coaching is a great job, but it is a really freaking hard job. It's not about getting Gatorade dumped on you and stuff like that. It's about cleaning the field house and staying late and doing stuff when nobody's watching. So if you're ready for that, let's go. And then lastly, of course, have a plan for everything, our mantra for everything we do. Then finally, how good are you at building relationships? Give yourself a little self-grade. How good am I at building relationships? How good am I at communicating? How good am I at organizing? The better you are at those three things, the more likely you'll be successful. Everything we talked about in that slide before came down to these three things. How good are you at those things? If you feel like you're pretty good at those three things, if you understand it's going to be a hard job, if you have a decent plan for everything, and you know you don't know everything, I say you're ready. Let's go. There is one catch. Just because you're ready don't mean somebody ready to hire you. So now the key is, can I go get it? I'm ready. Can I convince others I'm ready? So now you're ready to start looking for jobs. Can I convince others that I'm ready? And we kind of broke this down to 5 steps. We're going to do the first step today, the next 4 next time. The first step to knowing I'm ready, now let's go. You start looking for jobs. You know, you get on Twitter, whatever job sites there are, you just gossip, whatever, you find your jobs. You got to recognize this before you even apply. There's a lot of people going to apply for this job. Now, I'm in Georgia. I'm not saying it's like this everywhere, but I can speak for Georgia. In Georgia, on average, about 100 people apply for every job. So if you get an interview, you're in the top 5 probably to 10. I haven't been on how many they interview, but that's the top 5 or 10%. Some of y'all, when you were in school and you was taking those math tests, if you'd have been in the 84th percentile, you'd have felt pretty good about yourself. But the 84th percentile ain't going to get an interview for this job. You're going to have to be even better than that. So you got to recognize I'm going to have to be in the 90th, the 95th percentile to even get recognized to have a chance for this job. That's why your reputation is so important, your work, everything you do to get you in that small group. So should you apply for the job? You say, I say, coach, I see a job opening at school so-and-so. Should I apply? Well, I'd give you 2 different answers. One if you're a head coach, one if you're assistant coach. If you're a current head coach, I'd say you really need to think about it because I think when current head coaches apply for jobs, it can be seen as a lateral move. It can be seen as something that hurts you at your current school if you don't get the job. So really consider how bad you want that job versus how it could hurt you if you don't. I say if you're an assistant coach, I think you should always apply. It's a promotion. Nobody should get on to you for applying for a head job. If they do, they're a little short-sighted. You can play this video for them and tell them I said that. If your current head coach is mad at you because you applied for a head job, I don't think that's really nice. I mean, we need to work with folks that want to get advanced. And so if you're an assistant coach and you want to be a head coach, that's fine. Apply for the job. Even if you don't think you have much of a chance, what the hell does it matter? Apply. You know, shoot your shot. Then you need to know, like, what are my advantages and what are my disadvantages? Well, I think everybody that's watching this probably fits into either first-time head coach, people that want their first job, or people who are experienced head coaches, but they're not a current head coach. So maybe they had a head coach job before, now they're looking for another one. There's advantages and disadvantages to both of these, to be honest. If you're a first-time coach, the advantage, you think, well, I don't have any advantage. Everybody always says, well, I mean, how do I get experience if nobody gives me an experience, whatever? Well, you know, that's true. But at the same time, you have this advantage. You don't have a record to your name. You're 0-0 for your career. And that can be productive. Of course, the negative is you don't have experience. The experienced guy has experience, but he has a record by his name. So what if the guy really struggled at a school and he went 7-13 in 2 years? And in those 7-13, he probably should have gone 2-18. He did a hell of a good job, but he's still 7-13 and the school don't want him. I don't want anybody won 7 and lost 13. I mean, it can work against you to have experience too. I think it's a cop-out to always assume the experienced guys get it. Now, the experienced guys who've been successful, they got an advantage. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. They got an advantage. The experienced guys who've not been successful don't really. In some ways, you're better off just being a first-time guy. So, you just need one guy to take a shot on you. Just need one team to kind of take a shot on you. So understand, where am I? Am I the first time guy? Am I the experienced guy? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages of those things? So then you ask yourself, do I fit this job? So School X, I saw it on Twitter. It's open. Do I fit this job? We're going to talk a lot more about this next time, but do I know anyone at the school? Even indirectly, do I know anybody that knows this principal, this AD? Do I know anybody at the school? Do I know anybody who can vouch for me? Would I accept the job if offered? Here's another one, guys. Don't apply for jobs you would not accept. I mean, unless something crazy happens at the end and you don't accept it, that's fine. But you need to at least have a pretty good understanding of, I'm going to take this job if I'm offered it. Nothing is more frustrating as an AD or an HR director than us spending a bunch of time with you and you don't even want the job. Why did you apply if you don't want the job? You contacted us. So ask yourself before you even send the first email, am I going to take this job if they offer it to me? And if the answer is yes, do I know somebody that can help me at the school? Yeah, I kind of know Johnny. That's fine. And do I fit this job? Am I experienced enough? My status, where it is, what I am, what I'm looking for. If the answer to all those is yes, you go to step 2. You go to step 2. There's 5 steps, but you go to step 2. In the next episode, we're going to talk about step 2, 3, 4, and 5, which is basically resumes and references and interviews and getting prepared for your interview and how to interview, and then kind of the outcome, the final result. So tune in next week. You can hear my take on those things. In the meantime, check out our Parker resources. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Listen to Parker Resource Podcast. We had a Head Coach Academy. If you hadn't heard the Head Coach Academy series in the podcast from the end of 2020, go back and listen to that. 10 episodes that I think we're probably going into a little more detail here, but there's some detail there too that'll be able to help you with how to be a head coach. You can get into our app, which will be helpful for you. I think 300, 400 documents in there. And then, of course, 2 books that are really good. Of course, me reviewing them, I say they're really good. I'm sure they really are. But thank you for listening. I hope this was helpful. And I look forward to seeing you next week. If you get a chance, like any of this, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can hit the bell to get notifications, and tell some people, or try to spread this YouTube weekly Parker Points episodes. Spread the word a little more on them. Try to be helpful for somebody. So we're obviously doing this for free. Just want to get the word out, be able to help some people. Something that's important to me. So contact me if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week.